Hello, and thank you for watching this video tutorial on the Windsor shade structure. I'm your host, Jeff M. Wally, and with my help, I'll show you just how easy and how fun it can be to build this outdoor living space. The Windsor can be placed almost in any location outdoors. Not only will it add beauty and value to your home, but it's a great place for family gatherings, outdoor dining, or just relaxing poolside. Our website has this printable brochure which will show you each step that you're going to see in the video today. It also contains a detailed materials list that you can take with you to your home improvement center. Throughout this video, I'll not only show you how to build the structure, but the reasons why we're taking each step. Our project will be broken down into the following 6 steps: preparing the footings, attaching the posts, attaching the beams, installing the braces, attaching the rafters, and finally, attaching the louvers. If you can measure, use a level, cut a straight line, and drill a hole, you're more than halfway there. I do, however, recommend that you have some help when leveling your posts or lifting the beams and rafters. Not only will it make the job easier, but much safer as well. While this project can be completed in a weekend, take your time. It's not a competition, and you'll have a much better time if you pay attention to the details. Building codes vary by region, and it's always a good idea to check with the local agencies to find out if a permit would be needed. I know you're anxious to get started, so let's get going. The plan calls for footings that are 12 inches wide by 18 inches deep and are spaced 9 feet on center by 6 feet on center. Because this is an easily modifiable plan, we've added 2 posts to give us more living space. Also, 3 of our posts will be secured to an existing cement patio. We've pulled this string line end to end. This will serve as a guide for establishing a nice straight line with our post bases. Once the post bases have set up in the new concrete, our posts will also follow that same straight line. So now that we've got our hole filled up with concrete, we're going to go back to our post base. Most of the time you've got to kind of wiggle it in there, which is a good thing. That way we know we're getting concrete in between the arms of the post base, and it's a nice solid fit down into the concrete there. We're going to double check our 4 inches. We're measuring from the outside edge of our post base over to 4 inches on our string line. We're going to take our torpedo level, make sure we're plumb, looking good. Both directions here, a little adjustment. Recheck our 4 inches. Beautiful. We're ready to move on to the next one. One of the other things that we're doing is we're putting a finish or a sloped edge on top of our concrete pour. As you can see, the water, when it rains or say the sprinklers come on, the water will run away from the post, which is just going to really help protect the post. Now that we have all 3 of our post bases in, the best thing to do is come back through, double check one more time, make sure we're still at 4 inches. That way tomorrow when we set our posts, we'll be in a perfectly straight line. This one's good. Beautiful. One more. Okay, we're ready to let these set up. When we come back tomorrow, we'll be ready to go. On this particular job, we're going to be coming in a little bit closer to the pool. That's going to require us to use a different type of post base, which will require us to drill directly into the existing concrete slab. Using a masonry bit and painter's tape as a depth guide, drill the holes for your bolts. You don't want to go too deep and hit the soil, as this could later cause your bolts to rust. Next, the bolts are secured with an epoxy, and the brackets will be held in place with a washer and nut. After setting the end posts into their bases, check your string line and level before attaching a few screws to the post. Reinforce with support braces to ensure your structure remains square during the entire installation. Always double check your level throughout this process. When square, install the remaining screws into the post brackets. Now repeat these same steps for the posts at the other end of the structure. Okay, you may remember our string line. We left it up to give us one more opportunity to double check our 4 inches that we set our flanges at. And it looks like we're good here. We'll move on to the center post and double check that as well. Beautiful. We'll kick this over, and as I was saying before, we can double check our 4 inches, make sure we're good here on our string line. And we are going to be beautiful right there, kids. So let's go ahead and get some screws in this. Next, we attach the post at each end of the structure on the patio side. Again, leaving the center post for last. A string line serves as a guide as we tap the middle post into place before securing. With all of our posts securely fastened to the brackets, we turn our attention to the cross support by temporarily tacking the 2x4s onto our posts. Now that we've got all of our posts in, it's time to install the beams. What we've done is temporarily supported the beams with a screw and then ran around the tops of all the posts with our level to establish a nice clean line. With our first beam level and tacked into place, we trimmed off the excess height of each post. By allowing the post to rise 6 inches above the top of the beam, they will be flush with the top of the rafters when they are installed in the next step, as seen here. Next, we line up our second beam and tack it into place with a screw. So we've just finished tacking in the last of our support beams, and we'll get ready to go ahead and bolt them in prior to putting in our rafters. We are now ready to measure for our lag bolt hardware. Be sure to leave enough space between your holes so that the decorative washers do not overlap. Since we need to go through both beams and the post, we're using a 9/16 drill bit that is 10 inches long. Next, attach the through bolts and hardware as you see me doing here. Finally, secure the bolts into place with a wrench. Well, we've got all the beams bolted in and we're ready to get started on the rafters. Redwood comes in many varieties. For outdoor projects like this, we recommend Con Common, Con Heart, or B-grade redwood. All will weather beautifully and provide long-term durability. For this particular project, the homeowner has requested B-grade. It's a higher grade product and it's going to finish out really beautifully. So what we want to do first, we're going to get our 2 end rafters installed. We're going to run a string line from end to end off the nosing of each rafter. That's going to allow us to butt each rafter tail flush to the end of this string, which is going to give us a perfectly straight line. Now there are a lot of options you can do for these rafter tails. When you get your load of lumber, typically it's going to come out square like this with no detail at all. That is an option. What we decided to do though is we went with a 60-degree angle and nubbed off the nose. Gives it a nice detail. We used this same detail on our beams and all of our rafters, and it's going to give it a really nice finished look. After marking the location for each rafter, attach the rafters to the beams. We have decided to use screws for a more secure and long-lasting fit. You can space your rafters closer together or farther apart, depending on how much shade you require. It's that easy, and thanks to our string line, all of our rafters are lined up perfectly straight. The braces are attached at an angle to the posts and wedged between the horizontal beams. After tacking them into place on the post, measure and mark the hole location on the beams where you will install the through bolts. Drill the holes for your hardware using the same size drill bit we used for pre-drilling the beam hardware. Finally, attach the decorative hardware and tighten with a wrench. The braces are not only decorative, but serve to provide additional support to the structure. Well, as you can see, we've got all of our 2x6 rafters in and we're ready to get started with our louvers. We're going to use 2x2 redwood at 4 inches on center to let a little bit more light inside the structure. We've also pulled our string line from end to end. That way all of our louvers will butt the string and be nice and straight, just as we did on our rafters. We've created this jig out of scrap wood to automatically space the louvers at 4 inches on center. This is a great contractor's tip for increasing efficiency and accuracy. Well, here it is. And as promised, we were able to construct the Windsor shade structure in just 2 days. The homeowners have decided to allow the redwood to weather to its natural beauty, which is a very low maintenance option. I'm sure the family will have many years of enjoyment in their new outdoor living space. I hope that this video has given you the confidence to try this project at home. Be sure to check our website for additional redwood projects and videos. For the California Redwood Association, I'm your host, Jeff M. Wally.